the same part of your brain that's responsible for anxiety, which is the anxiety that you feel about sending this video out, is responsible for gratitude. And you can't feel both anxiety and gratitude at the same time. One's going to displace the other one. And so if you close your eyes and you want to get super tactical because you know you should do video and you're going to do it today, but you're still afraid seconds before you record it, think about something you're grateful for 20 or 30 seconds. Open your eyes and record that video, and you'll find that not only will your video be that much more effective, but it'll be easier for you just to speak and to get it done. And as soon as you do it enough repetition, you're not going to worry about that anymore.
Welcome to the Modern Selling Podcast, where we help the entire sales community to create more sales conversations with today's modern buyer. This includes anyone from entrepreneurs and business owners to sales reps and sales leaders. Each episode, you will hear from sales leaders, practitioners, and influencers to help you find, engage, connect, and nurture your relationships with your buyers. I'm Mario Martinez Jr., your host, and you're now listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Modern Selling Podcast, and I'm here with my friend, Mr. Steve Pacinelli, Chief Marketing Officer of BombBomb. Now, you've heard me talk about BombBomb before. Is one of the major players in video sales, space, and technology. Well, I got the man himself, and I'm actually excited because, Steve, I don't know if you remember, we met, I think it was 2 years ago, at the Sales 3.0, or Sales 2.0, not 3.0, Sales 2.0, right?
Yeah.
And I was awarded Best Sales Video for 2019, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. But I've got the trophy, and it's funny. I think of you all the time. Let me tell you why I think of you in a non-weird kind of way. Literally almost every day I think of you. And that is because when I came home, my two boys, they're very competitive and they don't have any trophies. And so they saw this trophy, which was, by the way, it was a beautiful trophy. It was very well done, heavyweight trophy that you guys put together.
And that was Gerhard. Gerhard was he made sure the trophy was on point.
Okay. So that was all Gerhard Schwartner then. All right. With selling power. So it, the trophy stands about 18 inches long, high. And my boy said, well, can we have that trophy? And I said, well, sure, I guess so. And I'm like, what are you going to do with it? And they said, we want the trophies put into our room. So now all of our Vengreso trophies are sitting in their room, and they take great pride in it, bro. I'm just letting you know, they take great pride in the trophies that my company's won. And as a result, every night I put them to bed, is generally my routine. And I walk in and I look at the trophies, and my wife keeps saying, when are we going to get these trophies out of here? Like, they don't belong here. And the boys are like, no, those are our trophies, Mom. Those.
That warms my heart. And I remember everything. I think it was 2018, wasn't it? I think so. Because it wasn't last year. It was the year before in the fall. Yeah, exactly right. All right. So my timing was a little bit off. Nonetheless, you're right. So I think about BombBomb almost every night, if it makes you feel better. All right. Well, you guys heard me talk about Steve, a Chief Marketing Officer for BombBomb. Steve, do me a favor. We'll get into some questions about your book and about video marketing for sales and video prospecting. We'll get all into that, but just give a little bit of background about yourself. And then I've got a very special question that I want to ask you. So a little bit more background about yourself. Yeah. I'll start with something that's relevant, I think. And, I obviously didn't always work for BombBomb. I didn't start the company. Connor and Darren started the company. So before I came over to BombBomb, I worked for a real estate technology company, and we sold tools to real estate agents. And we did that through a 48 city tour. So I'd hop on stage. It's a 4-hour seminar, and I'd give a presentation to the audience, anywhere from, depending on the city, 100 to 1,000 people, depending on how many people we got to show up. And it was great. Those 48 cities were great. But the problem that I had back in 2011 that I was trying to solve was we sold a lot when we were there, when we were in front of people, when we were face to face, when we could build that relationship. But then we would leave that city, and it was so hard for us to follow up. And that's when I became interested in using video, not as a marketing tool,
but as a tool to communicate, to bridge that gap, and to maintain the relationship that was there when we were face to face and we were live. And that was really the start. That's when I started sending out short form video messages in 2011. That's when I found BombBomb, and I was a customer for 4 years, a paying customer. And I took our little team, we were responsible for $8 million in new revenue every single year from these events that we did around the country. And, you know, every year that number would go up and go up and go up. And so,
of course, as it should.
and so we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, you can only do so much with 48 cities. And so following up with video, that was my first leap into making an incredible amount of mistakes with video, sending the wrong videos out, having video not be effective for me in any way whatsoever, in selling. And we were selling a product that had a $30,000 annual contract value to so it was a significant sale that we could do in 4 hours, but we couldn't do on the phone after. And so that's a bit of a background about me. I didn't just jump in and say, hey, I'm going to start selling video to people. I was a practitioner of video with a sales team for quite some time before I came over.
So I think what I'm hearing you say, the translation, AKA is not only are you the chief marketing officer of BombBomb, which is a well-respected player in the video sales marketing space, but you're a user as well. And you've utilized the technology to be able to create sales and to be able to create conversations and to be able to win business and build relationships. Is that right?
Right. Yeah, you said it better than I did.
You can take that clip right there and you can use that as like your voice of God when you're like someone introduces you. Not only.
Yeah. It was great. Take you along with me everywhere.
Very good. Very good. Well, excited to, go into this conversation. One of the first things that I always ask my guests is tell us something other than that background you just gave us. Tell us something that nobody would know about you. And I've got some juicy stuff from they ran an illegal poker ring, which paid their whole way through college, extra appendage on their body. And, to something as boring as I got 2 kids and a dog and a parrot, right? So tell us something nobody would know about you, even if they were to look at all your social profiles.
I'm a fairly private person overall, so I have a treasure trove of things to offer, but I'll give you the choice. Do you want the light one or the heavy one?
Heavy one. I want something juicy, man.
Oh, geez. So I had last year, which nobody knows this except a few people at work.
This is it. This is a good one, Kai. I feel it coming, man.
Yeah. I had a tumor on my brain barrier in the front right sinus. So sitting on the brain barrier, I found out 5 minutes before I hopped on a webinar with Scott Baker from Outreach.
Yep. Scott Baker.
So
his podcast.
Yeah.
So
right before, I found out 5 minutes before.
Oh my God.
And did the webinar, did the hour webinar, and then they turned it off. And so it was a 2-month process of going to the doctors, going to Penn. Penn invented a procedure where they can actually, because usually at the slice, they pull your face down, they slice your head open, they go in, they take out the tumor, they drilled a hole, they would have to drill a hole in your head, and then they pull your face back up. But Penn invented a procedure where they would go in through the bone underneath and then like get it out from inside. It still wasn't pleasant. So I had it done.
Hold on, Steve. For those of you that can't see Steve, we're sitting here looking at each other, but what he's describing is when he said go through and go under the bone, he's actually saying to go through the nose, through your navel cavity, into the brain. Is that right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, it was on the brain barrier. So they had to scrape it out from the brain barrier without breaking it and letting the spinal fluid leak through my nose.
Oh my God.
And so, which there was a percentage chance. So I went in, I got the procedure done. It turned out to be not cancerous at all, but they didn't know unless they went in there, and just to go in there was evasive. So they were going to take it out, no matter what. It was probably due to some type of head trauma. They said that I had as a child, which leads to all the other treasure trove of stories that we won't get into. But so I never told anybody that, besides I just went in and did it, and I didn't want to make everybody worry.
Okay, well, so I feel very privileged that you gave me something super juicy. I thought it was going to be something comical, and then you got tumor, and I was like, oh my God. So
the comical one was I danced in the Philadelphia Ballet as a child, because my sisters were dancers, and I was the little boy that ran out and steal the presents, and so I did that for 2 years in a row, I think. So no one knows that one either. Well, now they do.
So do you still do ballet?
I never did ballet. I was just I was on stage just because my sisters did ballet and like ran out and had this little part. So technically I was in the ballet, but not really.
I gotcha. All right. Gotcha. All right. Back to your story about the tumor. Thanks for sharing, number one. And number two, I'm glad to hear that it was A, removed, and B, it was not malignant, cancerous. And that was pretty scary. So like the whole time that you were on the webinar with Scott, were you having a tough time concentrating, or did you just like turn on your A game and then start thinking about it afterwards?
I don't know if it was my A game. I can't say that, but amazingly enough, I had no problem just going through and getting it done. But the second that it was over. That's when it was difficult, because it just put your head down and do what you got to do. And, you know,
those are the types of calls that everybody dreads. So thankfully that it was safe, but you've heard it first about Mr. Steve Pacinelli here on the Modern Selling Podcast. We've got the juicy secret here. Good, man. Well, let's transition into one of the first things that I thought was quite comical was you wrote a book about video. And it's kind of funny because shouldn't the book be actually a video if it was about video?
That's what you would think. And a smart person would definitely think that. We've been asked that a few times. And here's what it comes down to. And this is the same with video usage itself. It's the right tool for the right job. And video isn't always the right tool. In a lot of cases, it's not the right tool. And we can talk about that. And so when you're trying to teach or train, a lot of people learn in different ways, but something that needs to be referenced continuously, it's easier to reference something when it's text in a book. Now, thinking about that though, we do have a companion website with all the videos, and so things can be consumed how they're supposed to be consumed with emotion, and you can see how people are delivering it. And so we use examples in the book, and then you can go watch those examples. And so it is a little bit of both. It's not just a book, but man, if you want to find out the framework for getting attention, you can go right to page, and I forget the page, so I'm making it up, right to page 87 and look at the framework and remind yourself much faster than scrolling through 6 hours of video content or just that chapter and trying to figure out where that is. And so right tool for right job. We are using both, but we think the book is an excellent reference.
What's the name of the book again?
I got it right here. It's Rehumanize Your Business, How Personal Videos Accelerate Sales and Improve Customer Experience.
And you got published through Wiley, right?
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, I had a great experience with Wiley overall and their team over there, and they were excited to get it out. It's the first book, again, maybe because everyone's like, why would you write a book about video? But it's the first book about using video for relationship purposes, not for marketing purposes.
Well, extremely timely. And I'm sure that you probably have seen a dramatic increase in revenue over the course of the last few months as a result of, unfortunately, COVID, in that from a sales and customer success perspective. And of course, there's many other use cases in the B2B space, which is where, most of my listeners are from, B2B sales and customer success. Everything has gone all digital. So the fact of the matter is that the phone and email have become less effective, especially during the reports showed, especially during this last few months with COVID. But what has gone up dramatically is the engagement and usage of tools like social and video, asynchronous and synchronous video communication. And you guys play in the asynchronous communication side of the house. Right. But, I've always said, Steve, that a fool with a tool is still a fool. Right.
That is correct.
So let's not make more fools. That's really the message to sales leaders. A fool with the tool is still a fool. And I think the book is very timely because it certainly will help. And we'll have this in the show notes, a link back to it. So people want to, get it. They can have a chance to order it. I think it's a phenomenal way to be able to help teach sellers and entrepreneurs, individuals, customer success about how to go about leveraging video. Yeah. And when we talk about video, there's this age-old discussion of when we think video, everybody always says video marketing. Wait, video marketing? We want sellers to do video marketing? That doesn't make sense. No, that's not what we normally do. But there's a big difference between video marketing and video marketing for sales. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, as you call it, relationship videos, right? Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about that. What is that difference between video marketing videos, AKA, and video marketing for sales, relationship videos?
Yeah, so one has green screens, drones, editing, tools, systems, DSLRs, et cetera. And the other one is a simple webcam or your phone at your desk for the purpose of communicating more effectively. One is a video designed for thousands of people to see, one video, and the other is thousands of videos designed for one viewer each. And so it's replacing the plain typed out text that lacks your emotion, that lacks your personality, that lacks you. You know, we removed the messenger from the message 25 years ago when we decided to move most business communication into text. So we removed the most important part of the message because anybody can write anything. You only believe what someone wrote if you know who that person is and you know the source and where it's coming from. So now we're inundated in our email inboxes and our LinkedIn inboxes with text-based messages that are devoid of the actual messenger, and we never know what to believe. And it's our job to sort through all of this mess and all of these the 98% of the emails in your inbox, all of these marketing messages, to find the people and the messages who are truly crafted for us.
Yeah.
Who want to communicate, with us. And with text, it's almost impossible to do. And so relationship videos or videos that salespeople would use or video messages can quickly convey that, hey, this is a personal message just for you. And there's numerous ways of doing that. Or if you send a LinkedIn message. I started a project at the beginning of this year called my Gratitude Project, which I've been doing for years and years, but I put a different spin on it at the beginning of this year. And I started reaching out to podcast guests because I listen to podcasts almost every single morning. And
including the Modern Selling podcast, right?
Absolutely. And I send out videos to the guests that I felt helped me.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's a significant amount. I have 103 people here on the screen, actually have it up because I just did it this morning. And so I'm sending these videos out to people that don't know me, the people that I've never met before, to authors, CEOs, and moguls in their industries. And I'm sending it via email or LinkedIn Messenger, and I have an 80% response rate. Response rate, not an open rate and not a play rate, response rate, because I break through the noise and I show them that this is a personal message and the personal message is just about them. And I use words that came out of their mouth and repeat it back to them on, here's the one I sent today. I didn't use a quote for today, but loved your episode. Anamika, and I sent that out today, and that's why that can break through. That's the difference between marketing videos and relationship videos, because relationship videos are short and sweet, easy tools, and they're about the recipient. If you're doing it correctly, it's not about the sender.
I love that. One of the things we talk about a lot at Vengreso is, we have our selling with video sales training program that is designed really all around helping sellers to build that skill, to remove that fool with the tool is still a fool, to help, make them educated. One of the things that we really spend a lot of time talking about at the leadership level is the fact that with this, what you call marketing related videos, or I call video marketing related videos, that is that one to many type of solution. Right. Whereas the relationship videos, AKA video marketing for sales, which is what we talk a lot about, that is all around the one to one now, or one to few. Give me one to one, one to few, right?
Yeah. The buying group, perhaps.
The buying group, exactly. Yeah, or multiple buyers inside of an account, or as an example. So what's interesting to me is the trend that's taking place from an industry perspective, and that is, I don't know about you, Steve, but up until around March 2020, about 60% of my meetings were spent trying to convince sales leaders of this thing called digital, and to leverage things like social and video, and that we needed to equip our sellers with these types of tools and technologies to communicate. And what was crazy to me is that if you went to CMI, Content Marketing Institute, published a research report that said, what are the top 5 initiatives for every marketing organization? And for like the last 5 years in a row, including 2020, video marketing is on the top 5. So it's like, we know that we're going to engage with our buyers through the use of video. Case in point, when you go through your social feed, there's 2 things that you stop at, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, or Twitter. There's 2 things that most people stop at: pictures and videos. Okay, so we know this from a marketing perspective. And what was crazy to me is that isn't our sales team an extension of marketing? Meaning marketing's marketing one to many.
Right.
But aren't our salespeople also marketers marketing one-to-one?
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore.
So with that in mind, why is it so hard for sales leaders to say, oh my God, if marketing knows the secret sauce to produce inbound marketing leads, and that this is the name of the game to use video marketing, why are we not teaching our sellers how to leverage video correctly in that relationship building process, or the one-to-one or one-to-few models? And I do believe that COVID now has accelerated this. And that's probably why you guys are seeing a good increase in terms of sales and opportunities, because of the fact that they're like, salespeople and sales leaders are at the oh crap moment. Oh crap. If I don't do something different in the way of my prospect in a virtualized environment, 100% virtual, 100%, there's nobody meeting anybody, no one's shaking anybody's hands, then you will become obsolete. Do you agree with that?
I do agree, because people buy from people, not from companies. That relationship has to be there. That trust has to be there. When you hired your sales reps, you didn't hire them exclusively by sending emails back and forth. And
yeah,
so
exactly. Good point.
you hired them in either a face-to-face meeting before COVID, or B, a synchronous Zoom meeting at the same time, where you can see their reactions. You could read their body language. You could hear their voice. You can listen to their passion. You're making a determination of how trustworthy and reliable that they're going to be based off of thousands of years of human evolution, that we just instinctively know these things by seeing other people. But then, so you hire them based off of all these immeasurable attributes. You hire off of immeasurables, and then you set them into this world and you base them on all of these measurables, and you set them into this world that they're relying on text-based communication for the majority of their communication, to prospect, to find those people, to mine, those best leads, to follow up, to move that person along the funnel in the life cycle. They're sending text-based messages. So now you just negated all of those amazing attributes that you hired that person for. And even now, like you said, during the COVID time, it's synchronous meetings are great. We can talk about when to use synchronous and when not, because there's a over-reliance on synchronous meetings right now, in my opinion, that can be negated by sending simple messages, and you can get your time back by doing so as well. But synchronous meetings are great, but don't take a cosmic leap backwards in your ability to communicate when you can't get that person on the line at the same time and schedule for 3 p.m. the next day, and make sure that everyone's available at the same time, and create a big presentation for them. You can still communicate with clarity all the other times using simple video messaging.
Yeah, I love your point about being able to get some time back. And one of the use cases that we teach in our Selling with Video sales training course is, there's 16 of them that we've come up with. And one of them is answer a question. You get an email. The fastest thing to do is to go type a text-based response, right? But in a virtual environment, and even when we find a cure, hopefully we do, and things start to open back up, even when we do that, the reality is that the world has now forever changed. Mm-hmm. Companies around the globe have now implemented new policies that said, hey, even when COVID goes away, we're going to allow you to make the decision to work from home permanently or not. So there's going to be a lot of folks who will forever have changed the way they engage with salespeople. And some of our relationships will be built purely through a virtual environment. And to your point, one of those use cases is, you get a question, why not create a video response back? Because talk a little bit about the difference in terms of why video is a better alternative than, say, plain typed out text. You touched on this a little bit about 10 minutes ago. Let's tease that out. Why is it better? Why is an asynchronous video communication, a message, better that you can see the person versus plain old text?
Because you could say the same exact words and have it mean something entirely different. And so I could type out, do this, Mario, and you could read this as, do this, Mario, or do this, Mario. There's a way different undertone in the way that message is being delivered, and you can deliver it as you want. The biggest thing is, when someone reads something on the screen, the wrong side of their brain is engaged. So when you're selling something to someone, you want them to stay in that emotional side. You don't want them evaluating feature by feature, and that happens. It's going to happen. But sales is a transfer of emotion. And so when you're selling something to someone, you want them to stay in that, emotional state. When someone's reading, it switches their brain over to the wrong state. So you're already a step behind in your ability to communicate with clarity. So it's the ability to interpret information. Oh, and the last point I wanted to make, though, was the same sentence can say the same thing, but the way that you read the content on the screen is up to the recipient when you type it out as well.
Sure.
So if I were to send you a text-based message and you just got into a fight with your kids because they weren't listening to you, or your wife because she wanted the trophies removed, and the kids didn't want to, and now you're grumpy because everybody's fighting about the BombBomb trophy, and you read a message.
Which has happened.
And you read a message from me, you read that message, your current state of mind is going to affect the way that you read that message. It doesn't matter how I intended it. So the first example I gave is, you should do this, Mario. That's my intention for the message. I can deliver it in the way I see it, but you're going to read something in your current mind state. And I want to be able to control the tone and the nuance and the way that message is being delivered is the short answer.
Great answer. I think there's also a couple other things as well that you get from seeing somebody. Of course, every time you look at somebody's face, that is another building block in the trust building component, right? That's very important in the sales process, that people begin to trust that what you're saying to them is going to help them. And that's super important. And we all know that we all buy things on Amazon, as an example, without ever talking to a live human being. But one of the things that we always do to be able to validate that we're making the right purchase is we go and look at the reviews. What are other people saying? Why? Because we're human. And as humans, we want to validate what it is that we think we are going down the path. And if I can't see the person that's telling me this, just like you would at a retail shop and you go in and talk to a sales associate and they're telling you, yeah, this is the greatest. Oh, no, I had some customers who had this problem. You should probably do this to fix that problem. Right now, you see the genuineness behind that. So we go out and look at these reviews to be able to build that level of trust. And still in the B2B space and B2B selling, we need to still continue to build that trust at all stages of the process, from pre-hello all the way through to the close. And then use cases, of course, which is within customer success. And that's a huge element to be able to build those relationships. Some other things that you probably get as well are those non-verbal cues and verbal cues, right? So as an example, you see me right now, I'm a passionate type of dude, right? And my eyebrows keep going up when I'm talking. I got these creases, whatever they're called, right? You can see that. And when I'm talking, you can feel that energy and that passion. Through a text-based message, you may get a little bit of that with some exclamation points, right? Capitals, bold, right? You may get a little bit of that, but you miss out on all of that. And that's really, again, goes right back to how do we continue to build trust throughout the sales process? What do you think? Yes, agree?
Fundamentally, people want to connect with other people, especially now more than ever. People need to see your face. You need to see someone else. That there's a great article in the New York Times called The Epidemic of Facelessness. And they just talk about the importance of seeing each other's faces and how we don't recognize each other as human beings until we can look at each other in the eye. And you can see examples of that if you go online and you read a polarizing article and then you look at the comments and people are just vicious towards one another. And most likely they wouldn't say those things if they could look the other person in the eye and recognize the humanity in the other person. Or even in a car, driving down the street, someone cuts you off, you get angry, you get that jolt of anger at first, because you see it as a car, you don't see it as a human being. And it's hard until you look at someone in their eye. And that's important and you hit the nail on the head, building trust throughout the entire process. People need to see you. And it actually brings me to one last point here too. If you're just thinking about using video messaging for prospecting and for getting attention, it's a great tool for getting attention. If you use it correctly, it's a great tool for prospecting, but that's only a fraction, of how you should be using video messaging. When that appointment is created and you want to continue, people always have that remorse after they book that appointment. Like, oh my God, did I make the right decision? I don't know if I want to go. I don't know if I want to do this. That video follow-up, a quick video message saying, hey, looking forward to our meeting. Maybe you talk to them on the phone at first, and then you send the video and say, looking forward to our meeting. My team's already hard at work at building out a plan for you. It's a great tip, by the way. Before any meeting, send out a video and tell them what you've done already to prepare for that meeting, because then there's an element of reciprocity that you already worked for them and they're less likely to cancel. I have specific stats on that one. But even after the meeting, sending that video after the meeting, sending the video checking in, sending the video if the person said they're not ready to buy for another 3 months, sending the video a month and a half in, just checking in, asking how they're doing, asking them about how their family is during the corona, all these other opportunities, not just for cold prospecting. And I think sometimes video messaging gets shoved into a corner that it's just a way to get attention. And it's not, it's a fundamentally different way to communicate.
You mentioned something with respects to the data that you have on sending a video in advance of a meeting saying, hey, my team has already been, working hard at getting whatever it might be. Talk a little bit about that data. I'm curious.
Yeah. So we actually worked with Remax, not Remax Real Estate Agents, Remax LLC, selling franchises. So doing franchise sales. And obviously an appointment for them in going into ABC Realty and trying to sell them on the Remax franchise is very important because it's a large deal value. So they went from a 58% to a 72% when they went through this process of implementing a video sent before each appointment kept ratio. So 58% of their appointments were holding. They brought that number to 72% within the time that they implemented the video process ahead of time, which yielded a lot of money for them, let's just say, because again, each deal had a very high value.
And other than just saying, hey, I'm looking forward to having a conversation on such and such date, what was the context of the message? Like, was there something specific that they said, and is there any science behind that?
Yeah, it's sort of what we've mentioned already. It's short and sweet, and giving them an element, some element of the work that has already been done. Because as soon as someone knows that you put in time and effort, it makes it that much more difficult for them to cancel on you because, and whatever that might be for your listeners, like, hey, the team and I are really excited about working on this marketing plan for you, or, hey, we already evaluated your company and we have we see 3 places where our product's going to work perfectly in, like, whatever that may be, that's the key element. So, and make sure that's quick. Don't provide them all the details and information. Make sure it's quick and in passing. And just to your earlier point, just show that you're excited. Let the crow's feet on the sides of your eyes shine because that's a true smile. Don't do a fake smile and you need to be yourself, right? And so get excited for the meeting, show them that you're excited, and then give them that one element.
We call this the crow's feet, right? What are these creases called in the middle of your forehead? Is there any name for that?
I have them bad, so I think I just.
Well, I do it all the time. I mean, like, mine are like not even across the forehead; they're just like in the center. I'd rather have them across the forehead than just like the center, like the butt forehead, right? All right, good. That was great insight. Actually, a really great use case for helping to ensure you reduce the cancellation rate of your sales meetings, right? And so great use case, great items there. At the end of the day, we hear this all the time when in our Selling with Video sales training program, that the sellers are afraid to or reluctant. That's not our culture. It's not our style. We're just not in front of the camera. Every time I hear that, I'm like, are we in 2020? I mean, like, I was like, oh, but my people, they're not, camera type of people. They only do it because they have to, because of the kids, or they're shy. I just go back to, are we in 2020? Like, I have a hard time understanding that. But nonetheless, there are many folks that are out there and we hear it all the time. So my question is, how do we make it easy for someone to be able to be on camera? If they're reluctant, if they're afraid, what are some tips and tricks around that?
Well, it's letting go of their preconceived notion of what a video message is, because most of the time when we work with people and they have a deep fear of video, it always comes down to like, oh my God, I tried it and I had a script and I couldn't memorize my script, or I had a teleprompter and I couldn't read, because they're thinking of a different style of video. They're thinking of messages that they haven't crafted themselves, or they have to craft themselves and they overly craft a marketing message, which comes off as a pitch, rather than just a simple means of communication. Now, most of the time, if someone gets the voicemail, if someone's calling someone and they get the voicemail, that person's not going to get so nervous that they hang up because they don't know what to say. Like, you know what to say. You're a seasoned sales rep. You've probably been in your job for a while. So you know what to say in these short videos. So then it just comes down to, oh my God, they're going to see me. And there's a number of ways to look at, once you get past it, this isn't a marketing video. You don't have to memorize scripts. By the way, a quick tip there is if you do have problems remembering things, just take a piece of paper and jot down the 3 bullet points on a piece of paper. And in the beginning of your video, hold it up and say, hey, Mario, there's just 3 quick things I want to cover. And then you can put it back down, and that gives you the right to look at the camera, then look away, because they know that you're referencing a script. So that helps people.
And just so you know what Steve was holding up, for those of you that only listen to the podcast audibly, he was holding up a little mini whiteboard that's probably about 18 inches long and about 12 inches tall. And you can buy it off of Amazon or wherever, Target. He was referencing, write down your 3 points there on a whiteboard. And he was showing it in the video. So basically he was holding it up by his head and saying, hey, there are 3 points I want to cover with you, so the person can actually visibly see it. And that's what you're saying is now you can have the permission to look down and be able to look back at those notes.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about, oh my God, am I going to remember everything? Or I have to say it exactly perfect. Don't read a script. The second you read a script, the second you try to memorize a script, not only is it harder for you and it's going to make video more difficult, and that's probably one of the reasons why you don't want to do it, but also it's going to remove all the authenticity out of the video, and that is your most important asset. So once you get past the script portion, then it's like, oh my God, they can see me. And one question to ask yourself in the beginning, before you're thinking about sending a video, or if you're trying to convince yourself to send this video, is, would I say no to a face-to-face meeting with this person right now? And if you would say no, and you wouldn't meet this person, and maybe you're in your underwear or something at the moment, so think about, like, put your pants on, put a shirt on, would I say no to a face-to-face meeting? If the answer is yes, I would say no, then you probably shouldn't be in sales. If your answer is no, I wouldn't say no to a face-to-face meeting, then you need to send that video out, because every time you choose not to send a video, you are saying, no, I don't want to see you. I don't want to meet you face-to-face. Now, it's a bit of psychology behind that. If you want something super tactical and how to get over the fear, take 30 seconds. There's 2 ways to do it. You can either tape someone up next to your camera, someone that you love, a photo of your wife, of your kids, or your husband, or whoever it may be. Paste it up next to your camera so when you look at them, you feel happy. Or take 20 seconds or 30 seconds before you record that video, close your eyes and think about something that makes you happy. The same part of your brain that's responsible for anxiety, which is the anxiety that you feel about sending this video out, is responsible for gratitude. And you can't feel both anxiety and gratitude at the same time. One's going to displace the other one. And so if you close your eyes and you want to get super tactical because you know you should do video and you're going to do it today, but you're still afraid seconds before you record it, think about something you're grateful for 20 or 30 seconds, open your eyes and record that video. And you'll find that not only will your video be that much more effective, but it'll be easier for you just to speak and to get it done. And as soon as you do it enough repetition, you're not going to worry about that anymore.
Steve, I have a confession to make, and that is I'm in my underwear right now.
Your shirt looks great.
Yeah. If I stand up, you're going to see a whole different set of things.
You could still record video messages, but you couldn't have a face-to-face meeting, Mary.
Yeah, no, you can have a face-to-face. You just only show from the chest up. I'm messing with you. I'm not in my underwear. But that having been said, something you said at the very beginning, some of those tips and tricks you just gave, was you said the words, let it go. And it reminded me of the movie Frozen. Let it go. Let it go.
Oh, that was good.
So we need to be look, times have changed, right? Did we say that we weren't going to use the internet when the internet came out? Probably. And guess what? We all got AOL accounts. And then eventually we can't live without the internet. Did we say that when we went from Excel spreadsheets at sales reps, 25 years ago, when I started, 22 years ago, when I started, we were using Excel spreadsheets. And eventually we went to like a telemagic system. And then we eventually went to Goldmine. And then eventually we got to Salesforce and wherever other CRM that we were in. So we got to let it go. That's the first thing. We oftentimes hear people, like when we're doing our training classes, like, what's your concern? What's your fear? And people will say, well, truth be told, since we're having a one-on-one, I feel ugly. I'm fat. I'm fat, ugly. I've got an ugly face. I got a zit on my nose. I got hair in the background. My background looks ugly. My house does not look right.
And so in this age, when we say, well, do you do your conference calls with your customer in the same location? Yeah, I do the conference call. Okay, great. Do you usually have your video turned on? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sometimes you do. Are you still the same ugly person that you think you are? Are you still the same fat person that you think you are? Are you still the same zit? Do you still have the same zit, the hair? Do you still have the same background? Well, yeah, I guess so. So I'm kind of blunt in that regard, which is if you think you're ugly, fat, you got a zit, you don't look right, you're not good, you're not this, whatever the case might be, guess what? You still look that way when you go and meet that person face to face. So the reality is that we need to be thinking differently. It's not about what you look like. It's not about it's about how that video is perceived and portrayed and received that makes someone feel warm and fuzzy on the inside, right? And that's really key.
That's it. Video isn't about you. You might be the sender, but this video is not about you, which also puts you in the right frame of mind on the type of content you should be putting in your video, because knowing how to use a product or tool, no matter what product or tool that you choose, is literally 15% of the battle. The other 85% is your effectiveness or your ability to communicate well through that video.
Hallelujah. That's exactly correct, which is one of the reasons why we are so bullish, at least from the Vengreso side, is, with that comment I made earlier about a fool with the tool is still a fool. Look, you can know how to click, where to click, what to click, and how to build a video, and what content you can bring into. You can know how to do all those things, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the message that attracts that target buyer, that gets them to watch, that first 7 to 15 seconds you've got to be able to convert somebody into watching the rest of your video. If you're not doing the right things with the right gestures, with the right nonverbal cues or verbal cues, you showed up your little whiteboard, right? If you don't have the right whiteboard that people are looking at, exactly that whiteboard right there, or maybe the right thumbnail that brings people in. Like, we're a visual people. We like to touch, we like to see, we like to feel, right? So you've got to be able to say, if I was on the other end, what would I want to receive? And that's the way I always write our messaging and our scripts, even for our customers. When we go out and we actually do a video sales training program, we write the scripts based upon, if I was your buyer, what would I want to receive? And a great example of that is we just finished training one of the largest insurance brokers in California with video. And what was interesting about that was we wrote their videos, some of the prospecting scripts for them as part of our sales messaging place. And it was interesting because as I was receiving videos back, as we were coaching them and training them, I was looking at this from the perspective and the lens of, man, they call on CEOs like me. That's who they call on. And they're selling us insurance services. And I'm listening and I'm watching these things and I'm like, no, next. I'm like, I'm not interested. But when you hit me with the business pain or the business problem that I'm faced with right now as a CEO, I'm like, oh, yes. Now I'm interested in listening, because that is a particular problem that either A, I haven't addressed, or B, I haven't thought about. So that leads me to kind of like my next question for you is really about identifying opportunities where using video can be the most effective. Do you have any thoughts on, how a seller can really say, okay, where's the right opportunity to be able to use video at?
Yeah, any place along the process where you need to build trust or rapport, emotion is involved, or it's a complex topic. And so those are 3 great starting points. So obviously, if you're trying to push through a cold outreach, you build that relationship, you need to build that trust and rapport. It's a perfect time to use video, as long, again, as you have the sender in mind. A lot of people will get their video or their team set up and running on video, and they take the same crappy message that they were typing out and they don't get results in video. And then they say, well, video doesn't work. Well, no, it's not the video that doesn't work. It's your messaging that doesn't work. And so building that trust and rapport, as long as the value is in for the recipient. Anytime there's emotion involved, when you're giving good news or bad news, or you want to deliver something passionately, again, that's a value for the recipient. It's another great time. When there's complexity involved, if people missed a meeting, the sales meeting, and the whole buying group wasn't there, send a video with a 3-minute summary, something like an executive summary, super quick, with the highlights delivered in your own voice, because you don't want those people to go back and have to pitch what you were pitching, because they're not going to do it as well as you with the same excitement. And that's a great time. So taking a meeting and condensing it down, a complex meeting that someone missed, and say, hey, I know some of you guys missed this. Just want to give you the 3-minute overview of what we talked about today and do a quick highlight. Or if you're describing your product or want to walk someone through something complex. Those are all the times where video is going to win out in terms of text. If there's no emotion involved and you just need to convey information, the relationship is already there, text is the best option. If there's emotion involved, plus information that you need to relay, video messaging is a great option. If there's emotion involved and you need to convey a message and there's several dependencies on their response to that message, then a synchronous video meeting is the best course of action for that. And so you can kind of use those three ways, like, hey, is there a bunch of questions I need answered? And it's dependent on the previous answer for me to provide the necessary information. That's when a synchronous video is going to be most effective. Not calling a meeting because you want to tell them about the latest product or the latest feature that you just released. That's when a video message, it's a simple, easy message to get across.
There's also some other use cases that we teach in addition to that. And the one that I get a lot of fun with is an out-of-office video message. An out of office. So specifically when customers send you a message, you're out of the office, maybe you're in training, maybe today, in fact, actually a few weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago, we decided to take a vacation and it was a weekend getaway, but we didn't go anywhere other than our backyard. And we I went to Home Depot and I bought a bunch of tiki torches and I put tiki torches all over the place, lit them up. And that was our Hawaiian backyard.
That's awesome.
So we stayed out the whole weekend at the pool. I barbecued just like you would at, normal vacation. So that's what I did for my vacation. But that was a good opportunity to be able to turn on that out of office video reply. And the out of office video reply, believe it or not, has like a 70% for us open rate and engagement rate, because people are like, as soon as you hit their box, you get a reply back. And it's like, hey, I created this 57-second message in response to your email. And they're like, oh, wow, that was fast. So they open it up and they're like, oh, wow, interesting. It's another great way to be able to build rapport. You also mentioned use cases. One other one that I think is really, really valuable is welcoming a new connection into your network.
Oh, absolutely.
Through a video message. Right. And that video message is a super powerful one because it shows up as a nice, awesome thumbnail with your face on it inside of the video message history. And that's very powerful because most buyers are not getting video messages where they see your face. So it's different. And as a result of it being different, what do people do when they see something that's new? They click or they want to watch it. So that's a great example of some use cases there. And I love the ones that you gave. So we're coming up on time here, but one of the key elements of creating video as a salesperson is the opportunity to be able to get more video plays, right? Connect with the individual recipient. So do you have any advanced strategies that you can talk through that will help somebody get that click on their video and get that engagement or the connection to the recipient?
Yeah, there's something called the curiosity gap. We could tackle this from a few different ways. One, the text that you use either in the LinkedIn message or the email message to drive that video play, depending on where you're adding that video. And then two, the actual video, itself, the thumbnail, the animated preview, depending on what system that you're using. And we'll start with the text. So the text underneath, a lot of people will write the same thing in the text and then put the same thing in the video. Every video, every email, every message that you send someone trains them on whether or not they should open your next message.
Exactly.
And so if you say the same thing in the video as you did in the text, it just trains them that, okay, I can just read the text. Why wouldn't I just do that? Well, you want them to see you and hear you, of course. So you don't want to do that. You want to deliver the message in the way that it was intended. So you want to drive that video view. By using the text underneath and using the curiosity gap, you leave out a portion of the story. You give them a reason, you ask them a question, you tell them to find the answer, click the video above, or you say, hey, 3 things I want to tell you, 1, 2 in the text and bullet points. And then number 3 is watch the video above for the most important one, or watch the video above for the third. Leave something out in the text that drives that video view and make it be the most exciting or different or curiosity inducing thing that you can send in that message. So that's one way to drive that video view, is how the text corresponds with it. When I said, we were talking about the gratitude project earlier, when I send out my gratitude messages, I usually in the text, I'll say, there are 2 things in your interview, in your podcast interview, that really resonated with me. click play on the video above to find out what. And of course, people want to know what the two things that they said that are so important. Now, I'm talking about this in terms of like sending videos out to podcasts. Salespeople can use the same exact strategy. If there's a PDF or something out there, or the company released, the company that you're targeting, the company that you're going after, they just created a great guide. They just released a new website. The executives wrote a book. Whatever they did, follow that. Follow them on LinkedIn, figure out what that is, and then send them a video that talks about something that they did and allude to that in the text. Hey, you guys just released your brand new website. There are 2 things I love about this site. Click the video above to find out. And it's a bad example, but you get the idea. Then you actually have the video itself. And you talked about the whiteboard before. You got something basic like this. Loved your episode. I love to write quotes that person said, or sayings that their company uses. Whenever you can repeat someone's words back to them, I'll say it more succinctly. Repeat their words back to them. Show them that you notice them. When you notice them, they're going to notice you. So put the quotes in there, write it on the whiteboard, hold this up in the beginning. If you're using something like BombBomb, it creates an animated video of that. There's other programs that do a thumbnail, and other programs do animated videos too. No matter what, just make sure that that's held up. Now, if it is an animated preview, add some motion in there. Hold it up. Like I usually do something like this. It's like dynamic. They can read it, and then you pull it back.
For those of you that are only listening, Steve's got his whiteboard that said, he's showing it with the message that he sent to the individual, loved your episode or something like that. And what he's saying, to be able to create that animated GIF, he's putting that whiteboard in front of the camera so it still can be visibly seen, and he's bringing it back. And that then becomes your animated GIF that will show on the actual video, so they're actually seeing with the message. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And a good thing, a good little framework to use, we teach the tuned method. Is your video tuned for attention, which is team, unexpected, name, emotion, and detail. Team, unexpected, name, emotion, and detail. When you are creating your animated preview, which think of that as your subject line of your email, your animated preview, your thumbnail of what they see in the video before they click play is just like a subject line of an email. That's the gateway, right? Your goal of the animated preview is to get them to click play. Team, multiple team members. If I'm trying to close an account and I bring all my team members in and there's like 6 people in the video and they're all waving and there's a personal message, it shows that I gave them 6 different people's time to create this video. There's a better chance they're going to play it. Unexpected, do something unexpected. Maybe not be in the frame and then pop into the frame. I've seen countless iterations of that. Some very funny ones, by the way, that worked well. Or hold up something, unexpected. Hold up something that they wouldn't imagine seeing, you'd have to tie it into your message somehow, but like doing something like this, like
with the camera, he's holding up the camera.
Yeah, something unexpected. So name, of course, write the person's name if you have a whiteboard, but tie that into some type of emotion, like great job, Mary, great job, Bill, great job. Or one that I like is if you do something like, oh my God, and the person's name, something that just has that heightened level of like, is this good or bad? That ambiguity of is it positive or negative? And then detail. The detail in the thumbnail would be either on the whiteboard, drawing a picture of their company logo, I've seen that a bunch of times, or doing a screen recording and putting up their LinkedIn profile, the recipient's LinkedIn profile, the recipient's brand new website that they just launched, the recipient's PDF that you could tell their team spent a lot of time on, or that award that they won. Do a screen recording of the article of the award that company just won, best, top 100 companies in Colorado, or whatever it may be. Anything like that to get that attention, to add that detail in.
Those are some fantastic tips, man. I have 2 to add. And that is, we see these congrats messages, people got a new job or they've been promoted. If it's one of your target buyers, create a short video, less than 30 seconds, that is a congratulations message. Take the URL and from your mobile device, paste that to the comment section of the post that says that so-and-so's got a new promotion.
Oh, yeah.
And what LinkedIn will do is use the thumbnail that you've set up, which is an animated GIF or whatever it might be, or just a static image. And now what happens is if you look at the screen real estate that your URL will take up on that particular comment, it is about 100 times bigger than regular text. So you will own that particular space as a potential seller trying to get to a buyer who you might be connected with. Now, another one in terms of the message, you talked about the actual text that lead up to click to my video. One of the things that we teach is your text should be no 2 to 3 sentences max, 2 to 3 sentences max that leads up to getting them to click on the video. And I'll give you an example. When I connect with a new person on LinkedIn, my sentences leading up to the video says this: hey, first name, which is 1 sentence with an exclamation point. So in this case, hey, Steve. Okay, sentence number 1. I wanted to say thanks so much for connecting with me on LinkedIn and let you know I created this 1 minute and 2-second video for you. Just click here. That's sentence number 2. And sentence number 3 is, in this case, if they had asked a request to connect with me, may I ask what triggered your LinkedIn connection request? 3 sentences, right? So with that in mind, the driver is get them to click on that video to be able to watch, and you're telling them the length of time it'll take to watch this video. If it's 22 seconds, 37 seconds, 1 minute and 2 seconds, whatever the number is, they will then make a decision in their brain. Do I have 57 seconds to give? Most people are going to say yes, right? So you're telling them in advance how long it's going to take them to be able to watch this video. So those are some tips that we usually give in terms of the training.
So we went deep into that 3 years ago or so, because if you are using BombBomb, the amount of time that the video is actually up on the screen in the thumbnail. So people see that for every video that you create, and it happens automatically. But while we were testing that, we tested out 100 different iterations of the time and the play button and where it should be. And we got a 49% increase in play rate for the final version that we tested compared to no time and just a simple play button in the middle. A 49% increase in play rate across the board for all of our customers as we were A/B testing it. So that time that you mentioned is absolutely crucial. If you're not using a system that has the time, write it out, because people want to know the investment, to your point, that they need to make in your video. And that's why the relationship level that you have with that person, the lower it is, the shorter the video should be. You can get away with a slightly longer video if you have a deeper relationship with that person.
What's clear here, my friend, is that you and I could spend a whole nother couple hours talking about video and how salespeople can use it. But we're out of time, bro. We're out of time. Let me ask you this question. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way, Steve? Is it through LinkedIn, Twitter? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, of course, LinkedIn. I'm doing better on LinkedIn. I'm a lurker. I still need to be more of an engager on LinkedIn, but I'm there a lot. So please connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can just go to BombBomb.com to check out BombBomb, of course. And I am on Twitter too. And heck, I accept Facebook friend invites as well. So
we'll make sure we put all of his social channels and handles inside the show notes. So go ahead and see it there. But if you want to know how to spell Steve Pacinelli's last name, it's Pacinelli. And that's how you spell that. And make sure when you reach out to him on LinkedIn or you tweet at him that you say you heard him on the Modern Selling podcast. And my last question for you, Steve, is, oh, by the way, it's on LinkedIn, it's Steven Pacinelli, not Steve. So with the PH, Steven Pacinelli. My last question to you is your all-time favorite movie, what is it?
Can it be a trilogy?
I suppose, sure.
Because it's Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Lord of the Rings.
So I know, common answer, I know, but
no,
it is.
It's not. No one's ever said that before, I don't think. No, I don't think they ever. Yeah, no, I think you're the first. You're the first out of 3 years of episodes.
What?
Lord of the Rings.
Good. It's so good.
All right. So we got Lord of the Rings. There you have it. Steve Pacinelli, CMO of BombBomb. Don't turn that dial. Listen to this very important message right now. Thanks for joining me, Steve.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks for listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. Please do me a huge favor and give the Modern Selling Podcast a rating and review on iTunes. I would appreciate it. Also, if you want to easily find our show, just go to themodernsellingpodcast.com. Hey, since you'll be on our site, be sure to check out our Modern Marketing Engine podcast hosted by my co-founder and CMO, Bernie Borges. Thanks for listening in, and until the next episode, good selling.